Snacks look harmless, a quick hit between meals, a tiny treat. But for anyone over 50, many packaged snacks quietly raise blood pressure, interfere with meds, or load the kidneys with sodium and additives. Behind glossy labels and health slogans are sodium bombs, hidden chemicals, and recall notices. We're counting down 10 snacks to avoid, starting with the ones that betray trust the hardest. Coming in at number 10, we've got packaged microwave popcorn, the movie night classic that smells like comfort but can carry surprising hazards. You open the bag and a buttery steam puffs up, coating your fingers with a false sense of safety. The bright yellow coating, the instant warm crunch, it promises nostalgia. The betrayal. Some microwave bags and artificial butter flavorings historically contained chemicals linked to real health problems. Two different risks stand out, and they matter especially for seniors and anyone with lung, heart, or kidney concerns. First, the flavoring chemical diacetyl. When inhaled in production settings, notably in microwave popcorn plants, diacetyl was linked to severe lung scarring called bronchiolitis obliterans, sometimes called popcorn lung. Workers exposed to high amounts of heated butter flavoring developed chronic, irreversible breathing damage. Investigators and occupational health groups documented those cases and warned the industry. That doesn't mean eating popcorn will automatically cause lung disease, but inhaling chemical vapors in confined prep or poorly ventilated spaces or long-term close exposure to flavor aerosols adds risk for people with weaker lungs. If you or a family member has COPD, asthma, or reduced lung function, it's a real reason to be careful. Second, the bag coatings. Recent lawsuits and tests have raised alarms about per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS, sometimes called forever chemicals, in popcorn bags and other food wrappers. These compounds don't break down easily in the body and have been linked in studies and legal claims to high blood levels and cancer risk in some settings. Even small, repeated exposures add up. For seniors on multiple medications or with impaired kidney function, anything that raises the body's chemical burden is worth avoiding. Recent reporting and legal filings show ongoing concern about PFAS in some popcorn packaging. Warm butter aroma that feels soothing at first, then a telltale chemical tang if the flavoring is strong. A greasy film on your fingertips, and for sensitive lungs, a night or two of cough or wheeze that wasn't there before. For someone on blood-thinning meds, repeated PFAS exposure and extra processing chemicals are an unnecessary added burden. Practical senior-focused note. If you love popcorn, skip microwave bag brands with artificial butter flavoring or suspect packaging. Air pop plain kernels and add a knob of real butter or a light spray of olive oil and a pinch of salt. You get the ritual without the added chemical baggage. Have you ever smelled microwave popcorn and thought it had a faint chemical tang? Tell us what brand. Did you feel anything the next day? That buttery smell can come with a chemical bill you don't see on the label. Popcorn should be comfort, not a slow chemical deposit. Air pop if you care about long-term health. Sliding into number, we've got flavored potato chips, loud, crunchy, and sold like a tiny party in a bag. The promise is simple, made with real potatoes and big flavor. The truth? A single-ounce serving of many popular chips already delivers roughly 150 to 180 milligrams of sodium, a tiny portion that can add up fast if you snack mindlessly. For seniors on blood pressure meds or salt-sensitive diets, those handfuls are not harmless. The sensory story is obvious. You bite, and the first crunch explodes salty dust across your tongue. That seasoning layer carries concentrated salt, flavor chemicals, and sometimes artificial dyes. One hand reaches for another chip, and before you know it, you've eaten several servings. The betrayal of trust shows up in two ways. Labels that highlight a real potato image, while hiding the fact the finished product is mostly processed pieces fried in industrial oil, and manufacturing practices at some facilities that prioritize volume over fresh oil maintenance. The result? Oxidation and reused cooking oil can make the product taste stale, and repeatedly fried oils may carry breakdown products you don't want to add to your daily diet. Beyond taste, the math matters. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 1,500 to 2,300 milligrams of sodium daily for many older adults. A small bowl of chips eats a noticeable percentage of that. Pair chips with a salty sandwich and a canned soup, and a day's sodium limit is gone before dinner. That extra sodium can raise blood pressure, cause fluid retention, which matters for heart meds and kidney function, and increase the risk of dizzy spells or swelling in the ankles for seniors. What to watch for? Avoid extreme flavor and heavily dusted varieties if you're watching sodium. Pick single-ingredient chips, plain, low-salt versions, or make baked chips at home so you control salt and oil. If you're on a blood pressure regimen or take diuretics, 1 ounce can be a bad surprise. Which chip flavor fooled you with its real potato photo? Drop the brand and the guilty crunch. One handful of just one more can quietly eat a quarter of a day's safe sodium for someone over 65. Chips trade freshness for convenience. If your ankles swell or your BP jumps after snack time, that salty bag is the first suspect. At number 8, we've got store-bought muffins. The oversized bakery muffins that pose as breakfast but often behave like pastries in disguise. The bag or bakery window shows blueberries or bran, and the label hints at fiber and low-fat options. Bite into one, and you can find a dense, sugary interior that leaves a sticky film on your fingers. Many mass-produced muffins clock in with sugar counts in the 20 to 30 gram range and calories in the hundreds, sometimes the same or more than a glazed donut. For seniors managing diabetes or blood sugar spikes, that morning healthy muffin is often a hidden glucose bomb. Nutrition panels from major retailers show sugar counts well into the double digits for typical retail muffins. Large-scale bakery operations and supermarket bakery systems bake and store dozens of muffins on trays and then hold them for hours or days. If rotation is poor or cooling and storage are mishandled, you risk mold growth or bacterial buildup, problems that show up in inspection reports and shelf life studies. In consumer reports and forum threads, people post instances of store-bought muffins going moldy fast or showing odd texture changes. A bakery's bulk tray routine can hide a lot: cracked lids, condensation in boxes, and warm stacking conditions that let mold spores take hold. For older adults with weaker immune systems, consuming baked goods with hidden mold or microbial growth raises the chance of upset stomach, allergic reaction, and worse. Beyond sugar and spoilage, packaged muffins often contain preservatives and emulsifiers, propylene glycol esters, mono, and diglycerides, and other stabilizers to keep the product soft on the shelf. Those additives aren't banned and are legal at low levels, but they add to the chemical load for someone already taking daily medications and managing kidney clearance. If you're watching weight, blood glucose, or kidney stress, a store muffin's convenience is a trade-off with real metabolic cost. Practical senior-focused steps. Read the nutrition panel. If sugar is over 15 to 20 grams per muffin, treat it like dessert. Buy plain whole grain options, split one muffin between 2 people, or swap for plain Greek yogurt with fresh fruit to get real nutrients without the sugar spike. And if a bakery item looks wet inside the package or smells faintly yeasty after a day, don't risk it. Freshness matters more than a pretty label. Found a blueberry muffin that tastes like sugar and air? Which store sells the best real muffins? And which ones should get a refund? A muffin sold as breakfast that behaves like dessert is a marketing scam with a blood sugar bill attached. If the muffin leaves a sticky coating on your fingers and the label brags made with whole grain, trust your hands, not the slogan. Coming in at number 7, we've got cheese puffs. Those light, crunchy curls that look like harmless party snacks but often come loaded with sodium, artificial color, and processed ingredients. You open the bag and a blast of orange dust flecks your fingers. It smells cheesy and oddly sweet, like a snack aisle pretending to be dinner. The betrayal is simple. The bright color that makes them look fun is usually from synthetic dyes such as FD and C yellow number 6 and often red 40 or yellow 5 in other varieties, and those dyes have long been tied to allergic reactions in sensitive people and have been raised as a behavior concern in some studies. Regulators and researchers have debated these dyes for years, and U.S. health agencies recently announced plans to move away from several petroleum-based synthetic colors. If you're older and take multiple meds, any extra allergen or inflammatory trigger is worth noting. The nutrition math hits next. 1 ounce, a small handful, of popular puffed cheese snacks often contains roughly 200 to 270 milligrams of sodium. That's a fast move toward a day's safe limit for many seniors who are salt-sensitive or on blood pressure drugs. The seasoning also contains concentrated flavor powders and sometimes monosodium glutamate or similar additives, which can worsen fluid retention or cause mild reactions in some people. That tiny light handful can quickly become a sodium snack that tips blood pressure upward when paired with the rest of a day's meals. Behind the scenes, powdered flavoring is manufactured in giant hoppers, and recalls or supplier problems have occasionally hit snack powders. The point isn't alarmism, it's practical. If you have high blood pressure, heart issues, or take diuretics, those handfuls are a real, measurable risk. For seniors who are sensitive to dyes or have asthma/allergy history, the artificial colors are another avoidable exposure. Do you reach for the neon puffs out of habit? Drop the brand and tell us. Salty hit or instant regret? That orange dust looks playful, but it's a concentrated mix that can raise your sodium and chemical load in one bite. Fun color doesn't equal safety. If your meds make you watch sodium, trade the orange glitter for plain nuts or air-popped popcorn. At number 6, we've got granola bars, marketed as nature's snack with oats, honey, and wholesome pictures. The bite feels dense and honest, but the truth is often much less pure. Bite into a bar and you'll sometimes taste honey and oats, then find the texture oddly sticky and the second flavor, sugar. Many store brand and supermarket granola bars clock high sugar counts, corn syrups, and chocolate coatings that push them firmly into dessert territory rather than a true fiber snack. For seniors watching blood glucose or those on medications that risk hypoglycemia/hyperglycemia, that sugar spike is not trivial. The other betrayal is less obvious but more structural: pesticide residues. Independent lab tests and watchdog reporting have repeatedly found traces of glyphosate, the active ingredient in some weed killers, in oats and oat products used in cereals and snack bars. This sparked lawsuits and label changes in recent years, and regulators and consumer groups flagged it as a reason to question natural claims on packaging. For older adults on multiple meds or with reduced kidney clearance, cumulative chemical exposures increase the body's processing burden. Choosing a bar with fewer additives or switching to plain oats can reduce that hidden load. Manufacturing faults also matter. Big bakery lines produce thousands of bars on trays and sometimes store them in large bins. If rotation or storage is sloppy, bars can go stale or, in rare cases, develop mold. For immunocompromised seniors, mold or spoiled ingredients can cause real harm. The label promising fiber and whole grains can mask a product that functions more like candy in both sugar content and shelf life tricks. Which healthy granola bar fooled you the worst? Tasted like candy, not breakfast. Name the brand and the worst ingredient. A bar that looks like breakfast can spike glucose like dessert. That's the marketing trick you can't afford if you manage diabetes. If the label screams natural and the sugar count reads like a cookie, ditch it. Real oats, plain yogurt, or a handful of nuts is the safer swap. Rolling in at number 5, we've got beef jerky, the packaged protein that sells as lean fuel but often reads like a salt and preservative delivery system. The chew is savory and dense. You expect protein. What you don't expect is the salt math. Many 1-ounce servings deliver roughly 500 to 700 milligrams of sodium, an immediate chunk of an older adult's daily limit. That makes jerky handy for workouts, but risky if you're on blood pressure meds, have heart disease, or manage kidney concerns. Reaching for jerky regularly can raise daily sodium enough to affect fluid balance and blood pressure control. Preservation is the other issue. Many jerky products use nitrates or nitrites, or naturally nitrate-rich curing agents, to preserve color and prevent bacterial growth. The International Agency for Research on Cancer and other health bodies link processed meats preserved with nitrates/nitrites to an increased colorectal cancer risk when consumed regularly. That doesn't mean the occasional snack is catastrophic, but for seniors trying to reduce overall cancer risk or inflammation, jerky is a food to limit. There are also small plant handling stories, like reports from local inspections, where jerky was stored in less than ideal humidity or temperature conditions. Because jerky is preserved, problems may not show immediately, but improper storage in damp areas can allow molds or bacterial issues that matter for older, vulnerable eaters. If you rely on jerky for regular snacking, choose low-sodium, nitrate-free brands and keep servings tiny. Ever grabbed jerky thinking, this is healthy, and later found your BP or ankles a bit puffy? Tell us which brand and how much you ate. That protein powder also packs enough sodium to nudge a senior past safe daily salt. One bag can be a whole day problem. Jerky is convenient, but not cheap insurance for heart or kidney health. Treat it as an occasional treat, not a daily fix. Taking number 4, trail mix looks like the textbook healthy snack. Nuts, dried fruit, maybe a few seeds. The package screams energy and natural. The sting lies in the mix. Lots of varieties contain salted nuts, sugar-coated candies, sulfite-treated dried fruit, and sometimes candy pieces that erase the pure claim. One handful can pair a large dose of sodium from roasted, salted nuts with concentrated sugars from glazed fruits or candies. For seniors, that combo does two things at once. It can raise blood pressure and spike blood sugar, a bad double hit for people on meds for either condition. The convenience of snacking from a bowl makes it easy to overconsume too. The other, practical risk, contamination and recalls. Trail mix style products have been recalled for salmonella or other contaminants multiple times, and bulk bins where trail mix is scooped in stores have been cited in local inspection notes for rodent droppings or cross-contamination. That's not hypothetical. Public health alerts and recall notices show repeated incidents with nuts, dried fruit, and mixes. For older adults with weaker immune systems, a contaminated batch is a real risk. Checking recent recall lists and buying sealed retail packs from trusted brands reduces that danger. Another behind-the-scenes problem, storage in bulk bins can expose mixes to humidity, which makes sugar clump and invites mold growth. Some dried fruits are sulfite preserved. Sulfites can trigger asthma or allergic reactions in sensitive people, and older adults with respiratory conditions are at higher risk. Keeping trail mix sealed and avoiding bagged bulk scoops is a simple, effective fix. Bought trail mix from a bulk bin and regretted it? Share where and what happened. Odd taste, mold, or a recall notice? At number 3, we've got diet soda, the fizzy zero-calorie promise that sounds perfect on paper, especially if you're watching sugar. But the reality behind that can is complicated, and for people over 50, the trade-offs matter. You crack a can. The first sip is crisp, sweet, and light. No sugar crash, no dessert guilt. That's the promise. The betrayal is this. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, and acesulfame K are not inert substitutions. Multiple large studies link frequent consumption of artificially sweetened beverages with higher risks of stroke, heart disease, and metabolic problems. In one big review, artificially sweetened drink intake was associated with increased risk of cerebrovascular events. Other long-term studies reported higher rates of metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes among daily diet soda drinkers. For seniors, who already face higher baseline risk for stroke and heart disease, those associations are not trivial. The fizz and the sweet aftertaste mask how these chemicals can change appetite, alter gut bacteria, and affect blood sugar regulation. One long-term study found daily consumption of diet soda tied to a significantly higher risk of metabolic syndrome. That's the cluster of symptoms: high blood pressure, high blood sugar, unhealthy cholesterol, that lead directly to heart attacks and strokes. If you have blood pressure meds, diabetes, or a history of heart disease, replacing sugar with chemicals might feel smart, but the research suggests it may not lower risk the way people expect. Practical senior note: cut back is the safe move. If you crave fizz, switch to sparkling water with a squeeze of lemon or plain seltzer. Those options give the mouthfeel without adding artificial sweeteners that studies link to vascular and metabolic harm. Also, read labels. Zero, or diet, doesn't mean safe for people taking certain meds or with heart conditions. Do you drink diet soda every day, and did you ever wonder if it's really helping your health? Tell us your habit, and if you've tried switching to seltzer. That slick, no-sugar label can be a short-term win with a long-term bill attached to your blood vessels. A zero-sugar can may look harmless, but if it nudges up your stroke or metabolic risk, it's the kind of bargain seniors can't afford. Coming in at number 2, we've got packaged cheese slices, the single-wrapped square that sells convenience and melts perfectly on a sandwich. For many older adults, that convenience hides two major problems: very high sodium and added phosphates that can stress kidneys and bones. First, the taste and texture sell the product. Smooth, spreadable, and consistent, that's the brand promise. The betrayal is in the label and the ingredient list. Many processed cheese slices are not pure cheese at all, but cheese product made with stabilizers, emulsifiers, and phosphate additives. Those phosphate additives are absorbed almost completely by the body, and high phosphate intakes have been linked to vascular damage and faster aging in some studies. For people with chronic kidney disease or reduced kidney function, conditions that become more common with age, excess phosphorus is a direct threat because the kidneys can't clear it effectively. Then the sodium math. One slice can have 250 to 350 milligrams of sodium, sometimes more. That's a large fraction of the recommended limit for older adults who need to manage blood pressure. Stack a couple on a sandwich, add soup or crackers, and your day's sodium budget disappears. For anyone taking blood pressure meds or diuretics, that can mean higher pressure, fluid retention, or dizziness. Nutrition guidance for kidney health specifically flags highly processed cheeses as items to avoid because of phosphate and sodium content. Which processed slice did you think was cheese until you read the ingredients? Drop the brand and the surprise ingredient that shocked you. Convenience melts into chemical additives, and for older kidneys, that melt can be the wrong kind of heat. A wrapped square may taste fine, but the sodium and hidden phosphates make it a risky shortcut for anyone watching blood pressure or kidney health. Finally, at number 1, we've got yogurt-covered raisins. The package screams fruit plus dairy equals healthy, and that promise sells. For older adults, that message can be dangerously misleading. The first bite seems innocent, chewy raisin, tangy sweet coating, easy to pop in your mouth. The betrayal is layered. Many yogurt coatings are mostly sugar, palm oil, and a flavored candy shell rather than real yogurt. That adds a big sugar hit in a tiny serving. Sugar that can spike blood glucose in people with diabetes or nudge insulin-sensitive seniors into trouble. In class action claims and consumer testing, some brands' coatings were described as more candy than dairy, and plaintiffs argued the labels overstated the nutrition benefit. The second problem is safety recalls. Raisin products and yogurt-coated snacks have been subject to multiple recalls for contamination, including salmonella and undeclared allergens. The FDA has posted recall notices for yogurt-covered raisins and similar yogurt-coated snacks because of potential contamination and allergen risks. Public health notices repeatedly warn that older adults and people with weakened immune systems are at higher risk of severe outcomes from salmonella infections. That makes this snack more than a sugar problem. It's a food safety risk for vulnerable eaters. Practical. Senior note: if you want raisins, buy plain packaged raisins, no coating, and add a spoonful to plain Greek yogurt or cottage cheese at home. You control the sweetness and avoid extra sugar, palm oil, and processing. And always check recall lists if you buy pre-packaged coated snacks. Older immune systems don't handle foodborne infections the way younger bodies do. Have you ever opened a healthy bag of yogurt raisins and felt that sugar hit? Which brand fooled you the most? When yogurt is mostly sugar and the raisins have recall history, that healthy snack is double trouble. Yogurt-covered raisins wear a health halo. But when the shell is candy and the supply chain has recalls, it's the last place a senior should look for nutrition. Now, let's discuss 2 options that actually safe. The first actual safe option is unsalted almonds. The simple handful that does more good than a sugar-coated snack and won't blow a blood pressure plan. You pop one in your mouth and the first thing you get is the clean, dry snap of the shell gone and the nut's warm, slightly bitter almond note. That crunch settles you faster than a candy bar ever could. 1 ounce, about a small handful, gives roughly 6 grams of protein, several grams of fiber, and a dense dose of healthy fats that help keep blood sugar steadier after a meal. For people over 50, that matters. Maintaining muscle and avoiding glucose spikes helps with energy, balance, and medication stability. The betrayal of trust contrast is easy. Bags of flavored or roasted nuts promise natural energy. Then coat the almonds in salt, sugar, or oil. 1 handful of salted, honey-roasted nuts can deliver as much sodium or sugar as a packaged cookie. Unsalted almonds skip that bait and switch. You get the nutrient package without the extra sodium that stresses blood pressure or the sugar that spikes glucose. Almonds supply steady protein and healthy fats, which support muscle maintenance and heart health when eaten in moderate amounts. They're a source of magnesium and vitamin E, nutrients that help regulate blood pressure and support cell health. Because almonds are portable and shelf-stable, they beat most packaged snacks that hide additives and excess salt. A controlled portion in the afternoon can prevent the overeating that often follows hunger, which is better for weight and for people on blood pressure or diabetes meds. Practical cautions you should know. Almonds are calorie-dense. If you're watching weight, stick to a measured handful, not a free-for-all bag. If you have advanced kidney disease, nuts contain phosphorus and potassium and may need portion limits. Ask your doctor or dietitian about safe amounts. Also, buy almonds from reputable brands and store them in a cool, dry place. Poorly stored nuts can pick up molds or rancid oils that reduce their value and taste. If digestion is an issue, try soaked or roasted unsalted almonds. Some people find them easier on the stomach. Do you eat nuts to stay full or just for the crunch? Share how you snack, raw, roasted, or in trail mix. 1 measured handful of unsalted almonds steadies blood sugar, fills you up, and won't make your ankles puff like a salty chip will. Almonds are the compact, no-nonsense snack, nutrients without the sodium or sugar trap. Treat the portion like gold, and they'll pay back in steady energy and fewer food surprises. Coming in at the other actually worth it pick, plain Greek yogurt. Thick, tangy, and the kind of snack that works like a mini-meal for older adults. Spoon a dollop and you get that dense, creamy hit that holds its shape. Tang first, then a clean dairy finish. Plain Greek yogurt gives solid protein per serving, often in the mid-teens of grams for a typical single-serve portion, which helps preserve muscle mass and supports recovery after activity. It also delivers calcium and live cultures that aid digestion, both important for people over 50 who need to protect bones and keep the gut working smoothly. This one beats the betrayal pattern you see in many healthy yogurts. Fruit on the bottom or flavored varieties load sugar by the spoonful and present themselves as wholesome when they're really dessert. Plain Greek yogurt gives you the base without sugar, so you control sweetness and avoid the blood sugar spikes that complicate diabetes and some blood pressure meds. Add fresh berries or a few chopped almonds and you get fiber, flavor, and texture, all without the hidden sugar bill. Why it's especially helpful for seniors. The extra protein supports muscle and balance, which lowers fall risk. The calcium and protein combo helps bone health. Live probiotic cultures can ease some digestive complaints and help keep the microbiome in better shape, which matters for nutrient absorption and immune response. For people on multiple medications, a predictable snack that won't cause sudden glucose or sodium shifts is a practical choice. Practical cautions. Full fat versus low fat is a personal choice based on overall diet and meds. Both can be healthy if there's no specific medical restriction. If you have lactose intolerance, try Greek yogurt labeled lactose-free, or choose small amounts to test tolerance. Many people handle Greek styles better because the strains and processing lower lactose. For those with advanced kidney disease, dairy contains phosphorus and potassium, so check with your clinician about portion sizes. Always read the label. A plain tub with a long ingredient list often contains thickeners or added sugars. You want minimal ingredients and live and active cultures. Smart serving ideas. Top with fresh fruit, a small drizzle of honey if you need sweetness, or a spoonful of unsalted nut butter for extra protein and flavor. Use it as a dip for raw veggies instead of creamy dressings. For a quick breakfast, pair a half cup of plain Greek yogurt with berries and a sprinkle of oats. Do you take yogurt sweet or plain? Tell us your go-to topping that keeps you full without adding sugar. A spoonful of plain Greek yogurt holds you longer than a muffin and helps protect muscle and bone. That's snack math you can trust. Plain Greek yogurt is one of the rare snacks that supports strength, digestion, and bone health with no sugar trickery. Keep it plain, top it smart, and it's one of the few snacks seniors can rely on day after day. Don't risk your health on bad choices. Subscribe now, and I'll show you what to avoid and what's actually safe every single week.